Greetings to all. Welcome to your VMware training session. Srinivas here. As usual, before proceeding, just what are the topics is recorded previously, discussed previously. We discussed about relation users, hardware, voice application relation, and system component, why virtualization, and virtualization advantages, and few vendors, what are the vendors are providing virtualization, and advantages and disadvantages, and why VMware vSphere, why we need to learn VMware vSphere. That is what all we discussed in previous session. And what is today's agenda? We are going to understand, before starting the virtualization, we are going to understand what are the basic requirements to start. Okay. So that is where physical server, what are the physical servers? We are going to understand physical servers. And then the important thing is that you need to register Customer Connect VMware portal, wherein you are in a position to understand what are the products and all those things. Let's proceed and understand the components today's topic. Okay. The first thing is that physical server hardware. Why we need to understand physical server hardware types? We have what kind of tower, what kind of server models. We call it as a tower, we call it as a rack server, we call it as a blade server. What is the difference? What hardware we need to choose for the virtualization? So first of all, just to have a look in previous session, we already mentioned that we are going to imaginary world. To go to imaginary world, to visualize what is imaginary world about the virtualization, first we need to understand how it looks like. What is a server? A server, how it looks like, what are the components? We discussed already motherboard component we discussed. Similar way, we need to understand, we keep on say that server. So as a virtualization is in a picture that we are going to host number of servers, number of virtual servers by using one physical server. Okay, on one physical server, we are going to host a 10 or 50 virtual servers based on the configuration. So whatever the hardware we are going to choose, that hardware should have enough resources. What is that enough resources? It should have a maximum CPU resources, maximum memory resources, and maximum network and storage capacity. So by choosing that hardware, which hardware is going to be compatible to get maximum resources, compute resources. We are going to say that, yeah, compute resources. Compute resources. Compute resources in the sense it is going to be come under the processor, CPU, and memory. What is the IO resources? IO resources, input and output operation. That is, IO resources are going to come into picture. That is storage and network. So, first of all, the server should be able to process whatever the server we are going to choose. That server should be able to process number of servers, number of applications. If I'm purchasing a laptop, I'm going to purchase a brand new laptop with a high configuration. If I want to install a AutoCAD applications and all those things, what we are going to look at? We are going to look at maximum configuration. Like minimum configuration based on the applications, based on the usage capacity, I'm going to purchase my laptop. If I have minimum requirement office application installation, minimum configuration is fine. Whereas if I want to install enterprise applications on my laptop, I'll go with maximum high-end configuration laptop, right? Similarly, we are going to choose what kind of server hardware is suitable for virtualization layer. Before understanding suitable, first we need to understand what is a tower, what is a rack, and what is a blade. What are the difference? Okay, let's go and understand. The tower model, the tower server. What is a tower server? Whatever the hardware we select, for every system is going to have a motherboard. And on the motherboard, we are going to install the processor and we are going to install memory and then connect storage, connect network. These are the five major components will be there in any model. But what is the choosing capacity? Why we are going to choose tower server? Why we are going to choose rack server? What is the advantage of blade server? So we need to understand this server hardware types. Okay. Based on that, again, the different vendors for each type of hardware. HP is going to provide a vendor, Dell is one vendor, IBM is another vendor. So based on the requirement, based on the compatibility, based on the service, we are going to choose a vendor and respect to server model. Now, tower server. When we are going to choose a tower server, whenever, what is the advantage of tower server? It is going to have the same motherboard, the same processor and all those things. But only thing is the advantage is it is going to have maximum base. Maximum base means to connect to connect number of hard disks. Number of hard disks, you can have this in front panel. We are going to get a maximum base availability on this particular tower server model. I can install a hard disk 1, hard disk 2. Like that, I'm going to install number of hard disks together in this particular tower server model. So, based on this particular architecture, it is suitable for storage applications. Storage, whenever you are going to choose a storage server requires minimum compute resources and maximum storage requirement. So to install, what is the concept I am going to come into picture? For every server model, we have to understand two components, compute resources, IO resources. Compute resources, that particular server is going to get a maximum processor capacity and memory capacity. Whereas in IO, maximum storage capacity, maximum network capacity I'm going to get. So what kind of model server hardware we need to choose the virtualization? Okay. According to that, we have to go for configuration. So as I stated, tower server is suitable for storage server applications. Whenever you are going to configure storage server, they are going to choose this tower model. Why? Because it is going to having a flexibilities of options to insert number of hard disks in that server. So that's the reason tower server is suitable for storage application. Even I can use for virtualization also. Okay, we'll come to an understanding what hardware we are going to choose for virtualization by understanding the server models. 1U rack server. See, by looking at 1U rack server, this 1U, 2U, 4U rack servers are the density, the form factor they are going to see. Again, the same system is going to have motherboard, memory and all those things. See, if you see here, this particular 1U rack server, it is have a feature to accommodate only 2 or 4 hard disks. 2 or 4 hard disks. Only number of bays are less to accommodate storage capacity. Limited storage capacity I can accommodate in this particular 1U rack server. Whereas in 2U rack server, if you see, these many bays are available to insert hard disk. 4U rack server, again, it is going to have maximum hard disk to connect. So, in this tower model, if you want to look for only storage server, generally they go for storage server tower model and high-end capacity. In this tower model server, very less compute resource, maximum storage they are going to get. Whereas in 4U rack server, they are going to choose this 4U rack server, maximum storage, maximum compute resource. Then they are going to choose 4U rack server from the respective vendor. Now, blade architecture, blade server. This is a industry enterprise environment virtualization hardware which you are going to work. Most of the enterprise environments are going to work. They are going to choose their virtualization hardware run on Blade server. What is this Blade server? These are going to provide very high-end compute resources, very minimal storage capacity. Why we need to choose a Blade server? What is the requirement? We are going to see. To place a tower server, I want a tower server 10 servers. How much space is required? I need to place this server just like in a room. I can accommodate maybe 10 servers in a room. Because it is a tower model, it requires a footprint wherein it is going to place the tower server. All the servers are going to accommodate rack enclosures. Are you aware of what is rack enclosures? Rack enclosures. This is a typical rack enclosures. This is a typical rack enclosures. If you see any data center, this is a typical rack enclosure. Okay. So in this rack enclosures, most of the enterprise data centers are going to have this kind of different sizes of data enclosures. What they are going to do in the same enclosure, they are going to place this rack server. I told you rack servers. One server type is in this picture. I told you rack server. Rack server is nothing but whatever the server hardware is available, this can go and insert in this particular rack model. Okay. So tower server and rack server is going to have number of cables for each and a server hardware to provide flexibility of redundancy, availability. Each server is going to have 2 to 4 power supplies. That means 4 connections I need to connect to run that particular server. 2 to 4 power supplies. 4 cables I need to connect for power on the system. At the same time, it is going to have a display card to connect, and it is going to have a network card to connect number of. Whenever we talk about server hardware, it won't be having only one connection, just like our hardware, laptop hardware. It is going to have one power connection, one network connection, one USB cable, like that. But whenever we talk about server, the architecture is going to have a redundancy support. The redundancy support means each server is going to have a multiple cables, power 4 cables or 2 cables, network 2 or 4 cables, storage 2 or 4 cables, like that, number of cables. All these server models, all these server models should require number of cables. For example, if I install one view rack server in my rack enclosure, what it is going to have? For example, in this rack enclosure, the big rack enclosure, I can place 10 1U rack servers. 10 servers in this particular enclosure, in the sense 10 into those many cables I need to run for each enclosure. I need to run power cables 4, I need to run for each system, like that I need to run. The beauty of the blade server is, it is going to reduce cables. It is going to provide high-end compute resources, and it is going to accommodate number of servers within single 8U enclosure. What is a blade servers enclosure? Now, enterprise industry virtualization workloads, most of the enterprise workloads are running on blade servers. What is a blade servers? Blade servers is not going to have a feasibility to connect cables. What it is going to have? It is going to have a enclosure. It is going to have an enclosure wherein that enclosure is going to have. This is a typical enclosure. If you see here, this is a typical blade enclosure. In this blade enclosure, how many servers I am accommodate? Total 16 off-white blades. 16 off-white blades. That means one particular enclosure, this particular outsider enclosure, again it is go and sit in this respect to rack enclosure. Are you able to follow me? What I'm talking about? Why I'm discussing all this? We have to understand what is the hardware, how the data center. As a virtualization administrator, we are going to work most of the time physical servers only. If you don't understand physical servers, you are not fit for understanding virtualization. For other server administrations, they are going to work on either physical server or virtual server or a cloud. But as a virtualization administrator, we have to deal with physical components. Okay. So that's the reason I'm trying to explain this blade architecture. What is the blade architecture? This enterprise blade architecture server has a feasibility within this particular enclosure. This is a blade chassis, we call it as blade chassis, HP blade chassis, Cisco blade chassis, IBM blade chassis. What is this chassis? Chassis is going to have only 4 power cables, 4 network cables, 4 storage. But that 4 power cables can provide power supply to these 16 servers, 16 blade servers. If it is a off-white, I can insert in the same chassis 16 blade servers. Whereas in full height, what is full height? Full height in the same chassis, I can insert 8 blade servers. That is what I described here in this blade server. Off-white blade server, full height blade server. What it is going to have? Off-white blade server motherboard is going to have only 2 processor sockets and maximum memory slots. Whereas in full height blade server, by default, this particular blade server can provide 4 sockets and maximum virtual memory configuration. Why we need to go for max CPU, max memory configuration? Because we are going to host, if this particular 1U rack server able to accommodate 10 virtual servers, the same full height blade, it is going to accommodate 100 virtual servers. That much powerful this particular blade server is. The cost also varies. If the 1U rack server cost you 5 lakhs rupees, whereas in full height blade server cost you more than 15 lakhs. Okay, that means it is providing max compute resources. Why I'm not talking about storage? We will come to an understanding storage in understanding that hardware. Why we need to go for storage? Why we have to go for? Why should not depend on local storage? Okay, we are going to understand while discussing about storage. Now storage is going to come into picture, network is going to come into picture, all this by using the respective hardware. Is this clear? The hardware models. Why we choose blade server? Why not rack server? Are you able to understand? Is any doubt, clarification?
No, thank you.
So have you ever access to the physical server in your environment? Did you get a chance to, in what kind of server you worked on?
2U rack server.
4U rack server.
2U.
2U rack server.
Yes.
What operating system you install on this 2U rack server?
Simple, there's a file server. So
okay, good. File server. File server requirement. What is the requirement? File server, it requires the storage.
yes.
So that's the reason it is going to can accommodate number of hard disks. By using number of hard disks, what we are going to provide? A RAID concept. We are going to create a RAID concept and we are going to see that what is a RAID. By using RAID, we are going to accommodate redundancy on the, if one disk is going to fail, my data is not going to last.
Yes.
For example, if this 2U rack server, this server itself down, motherboard is having an issue, or power supply has an issue. How about my file server? I cannot access my file, I cannot access my data, right?
Yes. Yes.
So in this scenario, what we are going to do? We are going to use centralized storage. What is the centralized storage concepts are going to come into picture? What kind of centralized storage concepts? SAN, NAS.
Yes. Yes.
This is centralized storage to purpose to save the data. Entire enterprise, wherever you go, whatever the environment you are going to work, we are going to work at, finally, we are going to work for the data. How to save the data, how to protect the data, how to provide security to the data. All these servers, all the virtual servers, or whatever the hardware, whatever the security, and all those things are going to discuss processing the data, how to save the data, how to protect the data. For this, all these things we are going to learn. These are different administrators. Database administrator is going to talk about database that is going to save data. Whereas in Windows administrator, they are going to work on install application. Again, it is going to save the data. So all are going to related to data, how we are going to save the data, how we are going to protect, how we are going to secure. Okay, how fast we are going to access the data. Okay, that is the concept everyone from the picture. Now, as part of this, we understood that physical server hardware types, and it is how these enclosures are going to work. Most of the enterprise environments have come across Cisco UCS. Anyone have an understanding Cisco UCS? Cisco UCS, Blade chassis, Blade or IBM Blade servers. Did you get a exposure? No? Yes?
Yeah, that is the unified computing system.
Exactly. Did you get access to connect to that UCS console or Blade chassis console, Blade administrator console? Okay. So we are going to, our lab environment has a rack server, that is Dell PowerEdge rack server. So the Dell PowerEdge rack server is, we are going to cover two PowerEdge rack servers. This Blade architecture, Blade servers, it is very high-end cost. Why? Because enterprise environment, they need to purchase this chassis first. In this chassis, they are going to insert these many Blade servers. Whoever going for chassis, Blade chassis, there may be requirement in a kind of more than hundreds of physical servers. Okay, they are going to maintain a redundancy. Even chassis is going to fail. If the chassis is going to fail, it is going to accommodate 16 servers, for example. If the chassis is going to fail, my 16 servers will be down. Each server can accommodate 50 to 100 virtual servers, means imagine how many servers are going to impact in this one chassis hardware fail means. So whoever going for this Blade chassis, they are enterprise in the sense very high-end business critical applications they are going to host in this Blade architecture. That means these kind of Blade chassis will be there 10 or 15. Each will be running in a kind of scenario. To one chassis fail also, the workload can be switched over to another chassis. That way they are going to design very high-end infrastructure. Okay. So let's proceed the concept. Now we understood what kind of hardware. Whenever we are going to work on physical servers, we are going to generally interview questions or scenario-based questions is going to come into picture. What hardware you are using? What is your inventory? What is your inventory? Inventory in the sense, what is the size of your organization? How many servers you are managing? If you say that I'm managing 1,000+ servers, the next question immediately comes in picture: how many physical, how many virtual servers? Now, if you say out of 1,000 servers, if you say 600 physical servers, 400 virtual servers, is it a right combination? No. We have to think about how many physical servers, how many virtual servers. I am talking about my environment. That environment is going to have 100 ESXi hosts and 4,000 virtual servers. That means total my environment is going to have 100 plus 4,000 servers, means 4,000 plus servers total. That is a workload. Now 100 servers, what kind of servers, what kind of hardware you are managing? My 100 servers may be IBM servers, Cisco servers, maybe HP servers. If you say that IBM servers, the interview scenarios are going to come in a situation that scenario-based questions. Yeah, they are going to ask what is the inventory size, what is the server model. You should be in a position to understand. You mentioned that 2U rack server. Now, what is the model? What is the 2U rack server model? What is the hardware? Is it HP, IBM? What is it? What is the server model? Can you say me 2U server, 2U rack server? What is the model? Server hardware model?
IBM chip, IBM X series,
X
X series, 3530.
3550.
The
This is
35,
a,
yes, 3530.
this is a model. If you go and Google, and you are going to get a complete specs of this particular cell. Overview of IBM 3500. So we are going to get complete information. Whenever your interview is going to ask what server model, as you are working on daily, you are working on your physical server. If you are not in a position to say that server model, you are gone. Okay, we are going to work on physical servers as part of this virtualization. If the question comes in picture in such a way that how many servers, what vendors, what model, you should be in a position to explain. Okay, so if I go here, the server model complete specs, how many bays are available, how many memory slots are available, how many CPU sockets are available, complete specs I am going to get here for the respect to server model. Now I can say by looking at that it is a 2U rack server. By looking at the picture, 1U at 1U rack server. This is 1U. See here, 1U rack server. What is the processor? How many processor I can install? Processor,
Yeah.
136 processors. Yes, please.
Yes.
Memory, how many memory slots? What is the minimum configuration? What is the maximum capacity? How many slots? How many slots? PCA slots to connect networking cards, storage controllers, and all those things. Complete specifications are available. By understanding that, I can able to understand how much memory I can install, what is the each memory DIMM to get a maximum. Okay. So as a hardware, as we are working on virtualization, we need to understand how many slots are available, how many sockets are available, what is the CPU currently configuration, what is the memory current configuration, what is the option to upgrade. If any feature requirement comes in picture, can I accommodate? Can I get more compute capacity? Is there any option to upgrade CPU? Instead of purchasing new hardware, can I upgrade the existing capacity? To provide that information, I should understand the specifications and what is the compatibility of the respective socket, what is the compatibility of memory sockets, memory slots. Clear? Any doubt? Now we are going to go to customer connect. What is a customer connect? Who are working on VMware administration? Customer connect VMware. This is a portal for VMware virtualization. We need to understand from here only as a VMware administrator. Even if you don't have account, go and register your account with your personal email ID. What is it is going to provide? As we are going to work on virtualization product, what product I am going to discuss about, I am going to come into picture. You should register. There is no charges, there is no credit card or debit card details to enter. You need to log in, you need to register with your account, personal account. Once you register, it is going to get a complete information, upgrades, any update is available. You are going to frequently get a mail communication. You should get a information what is going on VMware. So as soon as I'm going to log in. I'm going to log in. All this information is important while register. If you don't have information, you can click on sign up now and you need to register. Everyone should be in position to log into this customer portal. Make sure you are going to log in customer connect portal, wherein you are in a position to register. You have to register, log in, and you are in a position to register your sign up now. Whatever the details it is going to ask, each and every details are required along with address, and the address should not start with number. You need to mention the address clearly. Don't start with number. You can mention wherever it is possible the number, but for example, address 1. The address 1 should not start with number. You should start with alpha character. Yeah, okay? Numeric characters, wherever it is zip code. This is a numeric character, like that. So make sure you mention this and complete this registration and select email communication and register. And once it's registered, you should be able to log in this manner. That is customer connect portal. I'm going to log in with my login details. You should be able to register with your personal email, and then you are in a position to log into this customer portal, wherein we are going to understand what is product we are going to learn and what are the things we have to get it from this particular portal. Without this registration, you are not in a position to download any product. Or without registration, without having this customer connect, you are not in a position to coordinate with a VMware vendor, because we are going to work on virtualization and the product we are going to use. Whenever you are joining an organization, whenever you are attending an interview, asking about inventory, you mention that I'm working on VMware since 3 years and 4 years or 10 years. Okay, that's fine. The next question is going to come into picture, how you are going to coordinate with VMware vendor. What kind of support request you created? If you says that I didn't create any support request, that's the case. That indicates you didn't work on VMware environment. Whoever working on L3 layer or L2 layer, they should be in a position to work on coordinating with the VMware vendor. How many ESXi hosts according to license, you need to in a position to coordinate with VMware vendor to get a product updates, to download the patches, to configure the virtualization environment, all those things by coordinating with the VMware vendor. So this customer portal registration is mandatory. So go ahead and register customer portal without any delay. You should have the account. Okay. Once you log in, what we are going to do? As soon as you log in customer portal, the first thing we need to understand what are the products are available. As I mentioned, we are going to learn about DCV, Data Center Virtualization. VMware vSphere Data Center Virtualization. VMware vSphere Data Center Virtualization. That is nothing but a DCV, Data Center Virtualization. Now, where to get what are the products? See here under log. As soon as you log in, if you register, you are going to log in. Once you log in, you are in a position to get support, license management, what are the products you purchase. Organization is going to purchase ESXi host and some components. all those components we are going to get support. So if you want to create a support, click on here and create a support request. We are going to see while troubleshooting, we are going to get this support request. What are the things we need to do on those things? License management. Servers requires a license. That server, how to get what kind of license? Everything as soon as that organization purchase the VMware product, they are going to tag to this particular portal. They are going to register the account and provide a complete access. So the organization who are nominating, who are recruiting as a VMware administrator, they are going to map their organization email ID to this account, organization account, so that whatever the organization is purchased the VMware products, for all those products, they are in a position to manage by logging to this VMware Connect, Customer Connect portal. Okay, not only that, as we are a fresher, like as we are not having any enterprise account, we are not going to buy any license now, but we are going to explore what is the support request, what are the products are available. All those things are available under customerconnectvmware.com. Okay, you have to register and you should be able to log in. Once you log in, click on products. See here, on the home page, products and accounts. I am going to select all products. Under all products, there are plenty of products are available. See here, VMware vCloud Suite, VMware vCloud Suite, VMware vSphere, vCenter Cloud Gateway. Many things are there. Out of these many products, we are learning about VMware vSphere. We are learning about VMware vSphere. So under VMware vSphere, what we are going to get product suite. VMware data center. What is a product suite? Data center virtualization product suite. What components are part of this product suite? What are the components part of this product suite and part of this training module? Okay. There are two components are going to come into picture. What are the two components? ESXi OS and vCenter server management application. These two products under data center virtualization we are going to learn and we are going to work. So what is this ESXi OS? What is vCenter server management application? We are going to practice and we are going to understand what is ESXi, where to load and all those things. Okay, let's click on VMware vSphere under View Download Components. As soon as I click on View Download Components, I'm going to get what are the versions. See here, there are versions. So ESXi VMware vSphere, whatever the version here, we are going to talk about VMware vSphere 6.5, VMware vSphere 6.7, 7.0. Currently, latest version is 8.0. Before 6.5, there are legacy versions. What are the legacy versions? 3.5, 4.0, 4.1, 5.0, 5.1, 5.5, 6.0. These are the previous legacy versions are there under VMware vSphere. Now, this 6.5, 6.7 also already these are legacy versions. What is the legacy version? Legacy version in the sense the vendor, the VMware vendor stop providing support whenever they are not going to release any latest updates. Whenever they are going to stop releasing the latest updates, that means that versions are count as a end of life. No modification in that product. They are not going to release any security patches or compliance fixing issues, nothing. Those are versions we call it as a legacy versions. Now, this 6.5 and 6.7 versions are end of life. That means They stopped providing releases last year, October. Now they are in a phase of providing technical guidelines. The technical guidelines are going to end by this October. We are going to see what is that support life cycle. We are going to explain while understanding upgrade scenarios. Okay, I'm going to explain how to check life cycle and others. These many versions are there. Out of these many versions, we are going to start with 6.5. Under 6.5, this is a version. In this, we have a ESXi OS and the management application. That is management application vCenter server. We are going to work on these two. Again, once 6.5 we understand completely, we are going to upgrade to 6.7. Again, we are going to work on ESXi, OS, and vCenter again. Like that, we are going to work until 7.0. If you understand one version of ESXi, one version of vCenter server, it is easy to understand without knowing. Just we are going to understand what's new in 6.7, what's new in 7.0. The concept, the installation, the configuration is similar across the versions. So I'm going to start with 6.5 and explain how to install, how to configure, and then understanding each and every component. The same concepts will be repeated on 6.7, 7.0, 8.0. Only difference is it is going to provide some additional features. Okay, that is also we are going to experience. Any doubts on this? Any clarification? No doubts? Okay, good.
Srini, one question in a real environment. Suppose, as you mentioned about email, right? So for communicating VMware and our client, right? So if we have the 10 members team, right? So they are all using only one email, or they have to use the individual email addresses for the specific client?
Good question. Generally, in enterprise environment, how they do is the 10 members team is there. Out of 10 members team, the levels will be there. Maybe team lead will be there, and one senior resource, L3 resource or L4 resource will be there, and L2 and L1. Generally, this ESXi host and vCenter server who are managing, most probably they need to coordinate with the vendor. Only they provide access to L3 resources max. So account mapping, whatever the domain, whatever the ID, whatever the mail ID, organization mail ID they are using, organization is in a position to map that only L3 resources or L4 resources based on the requirement, because they are working on different shifts. For example, A shift, B shift, and C shift. Each shift should need to coordinate with VMware vendor. Means at least 2 persons or 4 persons should have access to the customer portal. What they are going to do? They are going to map any number of email IDs they can map. If 10 members are there, they can send information to the VMware vendor saying that these 10 members are supporting my VMware account. They should be able to create a support request. They should be able to manage license. They should be able to do the things. Generally, for L1 resources, we are not going to provide, and L2 resources also. Who are supporting L3 resource, they should be able to understand they can able to coordinate with VMware vendor. Okay. So according to L3 resources, 4 resources are there. 4 members' email IDs will be mapped to the same account. Okay, clear? Venkat, is it clear?
Yeah, how they map, Srini? So suppose 4 team members in L3 team, right, in one organization, right? So how they map the 4 email IDs in that particular, and might be they are giving how they are doing that in the VMware Customer Connect end.
See here in products and accounts, the account information will be added here. As soon as you log in, you are going to get account information. That account information you can map number of email IDs who
Okay.
are going to support, create a support. As soon as you log into the customer portal, the home page, they are going to get, as soon as login, they are in a position to manage the product. What are the products they map? Their account information will be mapped, visible here. Account information, what are the cases they created and all those things. The same account can be mapped to number of email addresses.
Yeah, look like we need to provide all four organization mail IDs to VMware customer account manager, right? So that they can accommodate like that probably, right?
Exactly. We are, whatever the mail IDs, they need to, for example, first thing is that as soon as you purchase the account, purchase the license, they are going to create a one account number for that particular licenses. For example, you purchase 10 licenses or 20 licenses, 100 licenses. For that, only one account, organization account will be there.
Okay.
That account, whoever, that purchaser, product team or account team will be there. By default, organization email ID, who are purchased the account, they will be registered by default. They are not in a position to understand this technology, support requests, supporting all those things. They are account people, that's it. Now, that manager, for example, manager is going to have this account registered email ID. Now, that manager is going to send a mail communication to VMware. This is my account, and these are the support persons to manage this entire licenses. Please map. They should be in a position to create a coordinate with VMware to support for get the technical support, manage the licensing, all those things. Some level, even they restrict that license management. They should not access to license keys. Only license key accessibility will be there with the manager. L3 resource should be able to support only create a support request and coordinate with the vendor. That's it. So even we can restrict, we are going to mention sending a mail to the VMware vendor. These are the persons. They should be in a position to coordinate. They should be in a position to create a support request. And according to that, they will provide the permissions. Clear?
Oh, okay, yeah. Thanks, Srini. But another question, Srini, continuation. Suppose if we get one license, right? So how many VMs we can manage under just approximately, right? Under vSphere, vCenter.
Yes,
So
yes.
roughly.
Okay, good question. We are going to cover under this particular version. That is going to come into picture while understanding vSphere Maximus. What is the license we are going to purchase? What license is going to work? We are going to understand while installing ESXi host, while installing vCenter server. The first thing, whenever we are going to install, we are going to start with licensing. While licensing, we have a, if you want to go with vSphere Maximus. vSphere Maximus. This is a technical document configuration tool wherein you are going to get a complete list of one license, one ESXi host, how many virtual machines it can support. For example, I'm going to vSphere. Under vSphere, these are the versions. For example, I'm going to 6.0. Okay. Under 6.0, virtual machine Maximus. This is a virtual machine configuration. I don't want this. I want only how many ESXi host, one ESXi host, what is how many VMs it can support. See here, how many virtual machines? One ESXi host, I can deploy 1000 virtual machines. 1000 virtual machines is a theoretical limitation. 1000 virtual machines is a theoretical limitation. To deploy 1000 virtual machines on a one physical server, how many resources I need to manage? Compute resources. I'm sharing the CPU and memory to my virtual machine, virtual server. If 10 virtual servers I'm deploying, each server has a 10 GB memory. That means 10 into 10, 1000 GB memory should be there on my physical hardware, right? So it is all depends on how many virtual machines are we can. This theoretical limitation for this 6.0 supports 1000 virtual machines, but the hardware should be have that much capacity to load this many servers. Yeah. Similar way, we can have the difference 7.0. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to go with ESXi host maximums and UV limits. How many virtual machines? Only one virtual machine I'm going to see. Only one concept. See here. How many? 6.0 supports 1000 systems. Now 7.0 version supports 4000 virtual machines in one physical ESXi host. It can accommodate. So sorry, this is a virtual CPU. The maximum limit 1000 virtual machines is 1000 only. For 6.0 only 1000. For 7.0 also 1000 only. Whereas in virtual vCenter server maximum. vCenter, while talking about it is a centralized management console. While talking about vCenter server, how many ESXi hosts in one centralized management? How many virtual machines it can manage in one console? That's where how many servers, how many ESXi hosts it can support, all those things comes in here. Yeah, clear? We are going to discuss all these concepts, no worries, while discussing about each product. Well, before upgrading, before installing, we are going to review how many servers it can support, what is the limitation. This limitation, no need to buy hard. No need to buy hard. If someone asks about the question, how many virtual machines it can support, what is the limitation, that is a bullshit. Okay? No one is going to ask the limitation. It is a theoretical limitation. I cannot accommodate 1000 systems on one physical server because hardware layer limitation will be there, number of virtual machine limitation will be there theoretically. Okay, clear? Any doubts?
Yeah, thanks, Srini. Yeah, thanks for all your clarification. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. So let's proceed. So we are going to understand vSphere versions. Now download ISO image. I'll cover in tomorrow's session. So download ISO image, what is remote management card, what we are going to work. One thing is we are going to, as a VMware administrator, we are going to work on physical server. Without physical server, no virtualization. So most of the components we have to understand before starting of the ESX servers. So please, everything for upcoming sessions, everything is depends upon previous sessions. Okay, if you don't understand previous what is the version, why we are going to do, why you are selecting ISO emails, why we are selecting remote management card. Okay, this is a simple thing. I am going to cover this remote management bias and write configuration before starting, and then we'll start with ESXi host installation in next session, most probably in next session or upcoming session. Okay, and then we'll work on ESXi, how to connect, how to deploy, what are the things we are going to do, everything we are going to practice. Okay, and the lab access, I'm going to start by what is this today, maybe tomorrow one session. By Friday, I'm in a position to provide a lab access wherein you are going to log in and then experience lab access, and then you can practice on weekend to install ESXi host, understanding how to access BIOS, how to access console, and all those things you are going to do by connecting a lab. So for that, what you need to do, you have already email IDs with our team. What I'm going to do, I'm going to coordinate with admin team, and for each one of you, I'm going to create a lab access credentials, and then I'm going to share by Friday, at least by Friday, so that you are in a position to check your access and you can practice on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday session. You are going to come back if any issues are there. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay then. Thanks for joining. Thanks for participation. See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.